Don't skip this video. What you're about to see really happened inside a courtroom, and it changed the justice system of an entire country. A 3-year-old child did something that shocked everyone. He pointed directly at a police officer in a room full of people. What happened next will leave you speechless. Turn on the notification bell and discover how an innocent child helped uncover one of the biggest scandals in history. And tell us where you're watching from. It was a lively Tuesday at the main courthouse. What looked like a regular court session was about to become one of the most important legal cases in Brazil's history. In the crowd sat Carolina with her 3-year-old son, Gabriel. Little Gabriel, unaware of the serious setting, quietly played with his toy fire truck, a gift for his birthday. His curious eyes wandered up to the high ceiling, fascinated by the grand chandeliers hanging above everyone's heads. Carolina was there as a witness in an armed robbery trial. She had seen the crime happen through her shop window 6 months earlier and had come to testify. With no one to watch Gabriel, she had no choice but to bring him along. After some convincing, the judge agreed to let the child stay. The serious courtroom atmosphere was a big contrast to Gabriel's innocent world. While lawyers in fancy suits rushed around, Gabriel stayed busy, rolling his toy truck across his chair's armrest. Then the courtroom doors opened as the bailiffs and police officers entered to take their places for security. A line of uniformed men and women walked in. It was routine. No one paid much attention, except Gabriel. Suddenly he stopped playing. His eyes froze on something in the room. The toy fire truck slipped from his hand and hit the floor with a loud bang. Gabriel's expression changed. With a seriousness far beyond his age, he pointed his small finger toward one of the officers. "There he is," Gabriel said in a clear voice, breaking the courtroom silence. "Mama, it's him." Everyone turned, first toward the boy, then to the officer he was pointing at. The officer's face went pale. No one knew it yet, but this small moment was about to set off a chain reaction that would change the justice system forever. The officer Gabriel pointed at was Sergeant Silva. He froze in place, his face showing both fear and shock. Carolina saw his hands start to tremble. Judge Antonio Pereira, who was just about to begin the hearing, felt the room shift. "Mama, it's him. That's him," Gabriel repeated, his voice filled with certainty. Carolina, now uncomfortable with the attention, tried to hush her son, but Gabriel wouldn't stop. His eyes stayed locked on the officer. Sergeant Silva slowly stepped back, almost trying to disappear. Prosecutor Dr. Paulo Marques watched closely. With 2 decades of courtroom experience, his gut told him something wasn't right. Silva wasn't reacting like an innocent man. He looked like someone who had seen a ghost. "We'll take a short break," the judge said, sensing the tension. "Sergeant Silva, I'd like a word with you in my chambers." As whispers filled the courtroom, Dr. Paulo quietly approached Carolina. "Ma'am, do you know why your son reacted like that?" he asked. Still shaken, Carolina said, I don't know. Gabriel has never seen him before. We're just here for my robbery testimony." "Did you see the robbers' faces?" the prosecutor asked. "No, they wore masks," Carolina replied. "But one of them—" She paused as a thought hit her. "One of them walked with a limp on his right leg." All eyes shifted to Sergeant Silva as he walked toward the judge's chambers, limping slightly on his right leg. Dr. Paulo gave a quiet signal to court security to block the exits. His instincts were screaming. They were close to something big. Hours later, the courtroom buzz had turned into a full investigation. Silva was held for questioning while a special team started digging through his past. What they found was beyond what anyone expected. "Get me every case Silva worked on in the last 5 years," Paulo ordered. The prosecutor's office quickly turned into a temporary war room. Piles of case files were brought in. A troubling pattern started to appear. "In every robbery," Paulo said, scanning the notes, victims mentioned a suspect with a limp. Silva was always the first officer at the scene, and he always had a big role in solving the case. Carolina and Gabriel were immediately placed under special protection. Gabriel was still too young to understand the huge impact of what he had started. He played in a safe room, but every time someone said Silva's name, he froze with fear. "Mom," Paolo said seriously, showing Carolina a file, "you need to see this." Dozens of police reports were laid out in front of her. All of them described robberies involving masked suspects, and in each case, one had a limp on his right leg. But that wasn't all. Investigators had also found large amounts of money sent to offshore bank accounts connected to fake companies. These transfers matched the dates of the robberies exactly. As the investigation went deeper, past victims were interviewed again. Many of them picked Silva out of photo lineups, this time without his police uniform. One elderly woman even fainted when she saw him. "It's him," she whispered, shaking. "He was there. He had a mask, but I'll never forget those eyes. And that limp." The scandal grew bigger when more officers came forward. One young cop, who spoke anonymously, claimed that Silva was the mastermind of a complicated scheme. He used secret police information to pick robbery targets, committed the crimes himself, then was assigned to the case so he could blame someone else. The news exploded across the country. Headlines screamed, "3-year-old exposes police crime ring." Brazil's central court suddenly became the center of the country's biggest corruption case. After 48 hours of non-stop questioning, Sergeant Silva finally confessed on camera. "It started 7 years ago," he said. "We used inside police information to find people who were easy to rob, shopkeepers, the elderly, anyone likely to keep cash at home, then we'd rob them ourselves." What the investigation revealed was shocking. It wasn't just Silva, 3 high-ranking detectives and even a retired judge were involved. "This wasn't just crime," Paolo said at a press conference. "This was a system built to protect criminals in uniform while blaming the innocent." Carolina's store had been just one of many targets. When Gabriel pointed at Silva, she later said, something clicked. "I remembered seeing a limp during the robbery, but I didn't want to believe a police officer could be behind it." Gabriel, without meaning to, became a national hero. Psychologists praised his ability to pick up on things that adults often ignore. "Uniforms make people seem trustworthy," explained Dr. Vanessa Moreira, "but children follow instinct." The investigation also uncovered a huge money laundering network. Over 50 million reais had been moved using cryptocurrency and fake companies. "Every new document revealed another layer," said lead investigator Patricia Almeida. What started with one child's action became the largest anti-corruption operation in Brazilian police history. People who had been wrongly blamed were finally set free. "My father died thinking street thugs robbed him," said one victim tearfully. "Now I know it was the very people who were supposed to protect us." Months later, the justice system had already begun to change. Inspired by Gabriel, a new set of rules was introduced across the country. Called the Gabriel Protocol, it brought big reforms. All police operations had to use body cameras, an independent oversight group was created, and AI tools were added to catch suspicious police behavior. Carolina was invited to speak about her experience. "I never imagined that day in court would change so many lives," she said, emotional. "My son uncovered a crime and helped change a system." Now 4 years old, Gabriel remained a happy child, unaware of how deeply he had touched the nation. A photo of him pointing his small finger became a symbol of truth, along with the words, "Truth can come from the purest sources." All the stolen money that was recovered was used to upgrade the police force and help the victims. "This case reminded us to look beyond appearances," said Paolo, now head of a new anti-corruption task force. "A child showed us that truth doesn't wear a badge or a rank." Officials from other states, and even from abroad, visited to learn about the Gabriel Protocol. Law schools and police academies started teaching the case. "This reminds us," said an international security expert, "that sometimes it takes a child's innocence to see what our own bias hides." A memorial was built for the victims, and a support program was created to help those affected. Gabriel, meanwhile, continued to live a joyful, normal life, unaware that one simple act had changed so much. During the opening of a new police oversight center, Carolina said, "Sometimes we need to forget our adult ways of thinking and look through a child's eyes. My son showed us that truth is simple and clear if we're brave enough to point to it." This powerful story has come to an end, but its message continues. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next gripping story. Tell us in the comments what touched you most about this case. Share it with friends and family. Together, we can help create a fairer world. Thank you for listening to Truth Over Skin.